It is time for the third episode of Sage's podcast. On the lookout for animals as I talk to you, so you know that this episode is going to be magical. This is the second to third episode of the Sage's podcast. The third episode. I am disgusting Master Sage. And as you can see, my aura has changed. It's stronger, it's more glowy, and it's ready to tell you about yourself in a loving capacity so that you can learn from me, disgusting Master Sage, as I learn my goddamn self. Do you understand me? As I learn my goddamn self. Some days it just be like, I am God's angel. And then some days it be like, Lord, this whole time I was being ridiculous. But it always works out, and y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It always works out. But some days you just be like, am I crazy? No. Because some things have happened that were totally inexplicable other than the fact that you're not crazy. Like the fact that there's sneaky martial law coming around and people are just very terrified. I was on World Star back when I used to go on World Star, and I saw a video and I said, wow, like, why do people just stand here and watch stuff like that? Do they not know what's going on? And some minion of the devil wrote, they do know what's going on, but they're terrified of the God of this world. And I said, I don't know about it being the God. Don't do that. Don't even do that. And then I had got off that website. Something that I have done throughout my journey is, oh, hold on, there's a truck coming by. Hold on one second. That even though that there's, I don't know, you can't be perfect as much as I would like to believe I am. So instead of cutting out everything that I do that's wrong, I take the time to like shave back on things, like watching porn. I don't watch porn anymore, but it took a while. It took a while for me to even get porn, like, because I'm not a very technological person. So even growing up, I didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch porn there. And then when I finally got a phone, I think I had like the cheapest flip phone because I was so untechnological. And then when I finally got a smartphone, it's like, it's just a lot. So when I finally got porn, I was about 25, and then I stopped watching it a few years ago. But anyway, it's how you scale back on things that makes your life better, because people are not able to attack my sex energy as easily because it's not hanging out of my body from masturbating and watching porn all day. It's something to think about. Everything has a reaction. And I think that too often we try to act like, oh, it's just TV, oh, it's just a song, oh, it's just food, oh, it's just I'm young so I could be, lazy. Oh, it's just this time. And next time I'll change it. And then the next time it's like, well, I got a couple more tries, 2 out of 3. And then it turns into a cycle. And it's not to say that we cannot have fun. It's to say that we got to pay attention. So anyway, I was talking about World Star because I had stopped watching World Star after a while because I noticed that it started to become very targeted. It seemed like it was trying to create a narrative rather than reporting the news, and I got tired of that. So I stopped watching World Star, but World Star was one of my guilty pleasures for a long time after I stopped doing a lot of other stuff, because I was like, at least I can maintain my normalcy by going on World Star. But I had got off of there after I saw a video that I thought was just completely inappropriate. And then I saw them kind of leading the culture instead of reporting the news. So anyway, today I'm going to sing y'all a song. I'm just playing. I'm going to sing one later probably. But today I want to talk about how to be alone and how to be a better you when you're around others. How to be alone and how to be a better you when you're around others. How to be alone and how to be a better you when you're around others. Do y'all see any animals? Would you tell me? Don't do that. I'm new to this. But I'm true to this. Don't do that. If you see some animals, send me some signs. I don't know. Alright. Oh, it's a bird. Hey, bird. Hey, baby. So, how to be alone. This is a more layered and loaded question than what it seemed like what I asked. How to be alone. As in, when there's a lot of energy around you that does not fit nor accommodate what you want your energy to be, how do you be alone? You didn't expect me to say that. You didn't expect me to take it there. You didn't expect me to go there. I'm a shapeshifter. Come on now. We all are, and I'm trying to wake you up. Please wake up. I know you see the aura. You can have one too for $5.99. I'm Miss Cleo. Anyway, no, I'm disgusting, Master Sage. But how to be alone. This is something that I'm still practicing, so I have some tips for you. How to be alone. Instead of just deciding that you want to be alone, decide what it is that you like about being alone and develop those skills. Instead of, because I noticed that if you want to be alone and there's a lot of annoying people around you, you might just spend a lot of time like, damn, these people are annoying. Why am I here? Why do I have to deal with these people? You might do that all day. But if you sit around doing that for 4 and 5 hours, I mean, how good are you spending your time? So instead of complaining and why don't you think about what it is that you like to gather from being alone and work on strengthening those traits? Like, for instance, let's say you like to figure out algorithms. Let's say you like to decode things. Let's say you just like to feel your own energy. Let's say you want to get to know yourself better. Instead of just saying, I want to be alone and these people are, bothering me and shit like that, why don't you make a postcard game with yourself where you write down every day 3 things about myself that I didn't know, that I discovered last night when I was meditating. The reason that you do things like this activity is because in this day and time, we're like birdies breaking through eggshells. We are blossoming like flowers coming out of soil. So the resistance is supposed to be there for us to burst through. So you find ways around the resistance instead of just complaining about it. Because the resistance is just like the dirt over a blossoming seed or the eggshell that's wrapped around a bird before it emerges. Y'all know I got that from Steve Harvey. But even Steve Harvey can say smart things. I'm funnier than him. Let's have a comedy off, Mr. Steve Harvey. He'll just roast my breath. But but I can roast his teeth. We can have a comedy show just about each other's mouths. But anyway, so how to be alone. First, you're going to realize that the resistance is part of your journey right now. If you're trying to figure out why there's so much resistance. Wait a second, that's a car. The resistance is part of your journey right now. So instead of saying, I don't want any resistance, you should practice saying, how do I get around the resistance? That ties together with how do you be alone? Because in a time like right now, there is resistance. At least as far as I'm understanding, being, out in the population. I don't know who has discovered how to not deal with that at all. I would love to talk to them. Leave it in the comments. How to be alone. I like to purposely put myself places, even if I'm in a popular place, I'll sit myself outside of where everyone else is. When I used to go to parties, I would be in the party, but I'd be against the window having my own party and swatting off the people who would come who I didn't like. The people who I liked, we would dance together, but the people who I didn't like, I'd swat them off like flies because I'm in my own area even though I'm in the party. How to be alone. You might be in the store. Y'all should see me walking around the store. I look like an African bee. Get out my way. Like, I'm always trying to find the aisle where nobody is, because everybody want to stand in your way and have alpha contests. And I'm like, dude, if you have to have that type of contest, it's not you. And it's like, how do you explain that to people? It just turns into an argument. But anyway, so in the store, I'm like an African bee. I am always constantly trying to find the aisle where nobody is. And it might be a Leo thing, because I know that there was an episode of Bobby and Whitney, that reality show where Whitney and Bobby were having a little disagreement about how she didn't like to be around people and he liked to be around people. But I think also it's because I am working on my aura and my enlightenment, and I just don't want to be distracted. So when I go in the store, I'm like an African bee. I'm zooming around trying to find the aisle where nobody is. That's a way to be alone. On the flip side, it's part of becoming enlightened in a time like this to be alone. And it's quite frustrating sometimes, like every 3 and 4 months when I want to have sex. Or, as I'm waiting for a king to accompany my crown. And I can accompany his, whatever. But it's part of the journey of growing and learning is to be alone. So how to be alone? I try to love myself. And through the process of trying to love myself, I realized that I never really did. And that's the reason that it's tough to be alone. And maybe that's why you are alone when it's time to get your higher learning. Because there's more brainwashing going on with us than what we had ever realized. Like, we think, the brainwashing is television. The brainwashing is from so long ago that it's ridiculous. The brainwashing is every thought that we have a lot of times. The brainwashing is everything that we wear, everything we drink, everything we eat. So once you become into higher learning, you're forced to be by yourself, maybe because you were never by yourself before. Like that part in The Matrix where Neo first woke up and he's like, my eyes hurt. Why do my eyes hurt? It's like, because you've never used your eyes before. I can't wait to say that to somebody. You've never used your eyes before. But we all have that time when you're going to have to realize that you have never known who you were. You have never known who you were, ever. You might be comfortable with what you picked or whatever, but there might really come a time, if you are experiencing the loneliness of higher learning, then you know what I'm talking about. You've never known who you were, ever. And it's sad. And it's frustrating because all the songs you listened to growing up, I'm watching the Missy video the other day and I'm like, this woman is in limbo recruiting demon slaves. And I was jamming to this shit my whole childhood. Why is it newspapers blowing through the street and she's walking around by herself? What the freak is going on here? I love that song. Why you all in my grill? I sing that every day when folks be in my face. And I know you do too. But it's just a car. Hold on. Car. Hold on, car. So it's really something about being alone that has to do with the fact that you've never been alone before because of the fact that we have been terribly brainwashed. And I know it's sad. And I had to say it out loud so that you know you are not the only one. I'm not going to sit here like you got to do it, you got to push through it. It's sad. It's tiring. Sometimes you don't know what the fuck to do or what the fuck is going on. And you're expected to act normal. But it's like, every day that you do this, you're getting better. Just know that. So every day that you allow yourself to feel, every day that you allow yourself to experience the emotion, whatever the emotion is, you're patching yourself up in all those holes. So keep going. Every day that you're doing this, you're getting stronger and you're fixing something. It's just that you might have 1,000,000 sores. And you done fixed 45 of them. And you like, I done fixed 45 sores. Like, when am I going to wake up? You might have 2,000 sores. But you fixed 45 of them. Keep going. I also wanted to talk about today how to get along with people when you're doing this higher learning thing. I had an epiphany the other day that you don't want to get too far away from people. I never would have thought that. I always thought I wanted to get as far away from people as possible. But when you actually start getting away from people, you kind of realize why people like to be in community with each other. And it makes you judge people less harshly, because I'm the type of person that I would always cut people off if I didn't like them or if I thought they weren't trustworthy and stuff like that. But let's say you go on a hiatus from people. You'll judge them a lot less harshly. It's like you already know you should have looked at things from their perspective, but you didn't feel like it. But go somewhere where you by your goddamn self. You start understanding and making all type of excuses for them. Well, I do know that they were hurt as a child, and I do know that, they're very work oriented, so maybe they didn't have time to think about my emotions, and I do know this and I do know that. Don't make excuses for people, but I'm talking about if you can have potential friends, and if maybe you could keep them at the distance they're supposed to be at for the part of your development that they come into your life, you should try it, because when you actually get by yourself, you kind of realize why you need people around. You can't do everything. So, some things I'm practicing right now as disgusting Master Sage, and that's Beau, is to open up more to conversation. I'm so used to not liking people and how they act and how they're like rude and mean, that first of all, I'm missing out on how beautiful people are, how much of a journey other people have had, and how much they can inspire me with probably one of their stories. I'm also missing out on whatever friends I could have by thinking that type of way. I'm also thinking about whatever type of man I could have, permanent man in my life, by maybe not being so short in conversation, because it protects me. It does protect me, because I don't let the people get close unless I see from the jump their authenticity. I need to see it from the jump, or else I'm going to shut it down. I don't trust you. But now that I've been learning more things about how to protect myself and how to grow and how to be conscious and how to be in tune, I don't have to be so guarded anymore. So my advice on Sage's podcast to anyone that wants to know how, now after you've developed all these skills, how do you get back out there and talk to people? I want to say who you may not agree with, because even if a person's not asleep, you may be like, but they're still kind of asleep, so I don't know if I want to talk to them. But you need people. People are great. People are interesting. People help you. People care about you more than you will allow yourself to think. People, sometimes it's you. Sometimes your mind's damaged and you think that everyone's out to get you and stuff like that. It's a possibility. So be open to talking to people, because they might lead you to your next source. They might lead you to your next idea. They might just let you help them, and so you feel good about yourself because you help someone else. It's all type of things. So number one, be more open to talking to people, as in don't just get in and get out. Relax. Ask two more questions the next time that you get to talking to somebody, even if it's directions. If you get a good vibe from somebody, ask 2 more questions than what you normally would. Go ahead and ask 2 more questions. And that'll turn into you being more comfortable just sitting there and letting the moment take place. Part of what we're going to have to realize as we evolve and grow is letting the moment take its course and not being so in control. So a lot of the activities that we can do will help us spiritually. We have to understand that we go through things and it's a part of our spiritual journey. You just may or may not recognize the purpose. You might need to slow down and learn how to talk to people, because you need to slow down and let life talk to you. One second. You'll probably realize a lot more things if you allow life to talk to you rather than always imposing on life. Let life talk to you. So you might say, why am I talking to people? Because you need to learn to let life talk to you. That's a metaphor that I want you to sit with. A lot of times when things happen to you, maybe switch that person out with life. You might say, why do people want me to smooth and do the normalities? I don't want to do all the niceties. I don't want to sit here and talk about the weather. What if you replace those people with life? Life wants me to schmooze and talk about what life wants to talk about sometimes. Sometimes life just wants to hear me breathe rather than me always having to ask all these important questions. Take a minute to let life impress upon you instead of you always impressing upon life. I love you. I want to be with you on the higher plane. I believe in us. I believe in this world. Right now I want to say a prayer. I pray that our souls connect back to each other on a conscious level where we understand who and what we are to each other, because I love you and you love me. I want us to be able to feel that love for each other again, because that's all that we all ever wanted. I pray that the earth is able to feel the feet of every person on this planet again at the same time. I pray that the earth feels a connection to us and understands why we did what we did. And I hope that the earth is not too mad. I pray that we're able to give to the earth tonight. Just give something to the earth tonight. I pray that all the birds sing the happiest song when we wake up in the morning, and that tomorrow is a greater day than what today is. I love you. I respect you. I thank you. I'm going to save the song for next week. Sage's podcast. Leave it in the comments. Disgusting Master Sage. On their ass. Beau is always around. We love you. We thank you. Have a good night. Yeah. Cash App at Capital Sage.